Okay, welcome council and staff, and glad to see that everybody is well. We're going to call this meeting to order at 1 o'clock, and the proceedings of this meeting will be recorded and made available on the internet. Jesse, who is our clerk, could you conduct the roll, please?
Thank you. Mayor Clarkson, are you present?
I am.
Deputy Mayor Windover has sent his regrets. Councillor Armstrong?
Present.
Councillor Franzen?
Present.
Councillor Lambshead?
Present.
For staff, we have Donna Taggart, CAO Treasurer.
Present.
Evan Grieger, Director of Public Works.
Present.
Barb Waldron, Director of Building and Planning, CBO. I believe she's on the line there. Adele Arbor, Planner. Ann Ruth, Deputy Clerk.
Present.
Chelsea Carpenter, Waste Public Works Coordinator.
Present.
And Bianca Dragicevic, Temporary Records Coordinator.
Present.
And Jesse Clark, Director of Corporate Services Clerk, is present.
Thank you. Now we're going to have our land acknowledgement and a moment of reflection. We respectfully acknowledge that Trent Lakes and Peterborough County are located on the Treaty 20 Michi-Saugee territory and in the traditional territory of the Michi-Saugee and Chippewa Nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations, which include Alderville, Beausoleil, Curve Lake, Georgina Island, Hiawatha, Rama, and Scugog Islands First Nations. Trent Lakes respectfully acknowledges that the Williams Treaty First Nations are the stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. We will now take a moment to reflect on these principles and our duties and responsibilities as members of council. Now, on behalf of council, I would like to extend our thanks to the Trent Lakes Hamper Fund volunteers for all their hard work organizing the Christmas hampers. This year, they were able to brighten Christmas for 21 families. A big thank you also goes out to those who generously donated money, toys, and food. I would also like to acknowledge Shrikpat Patel and the staff at the Buckhorn Foodland for being recognized throughout the recent Peterborough County COVID Champions for the community support in providing shopping and food product services and needs to the general community. Buckhorn Community Care, local food banks, the Trent Lakes Christmas Hamper Program, the Trent Lakes Outreach Center, and the Lion Santa Claus Parade all donated substantial amounts of food to this program. Also, what takes place through the Buckhorn Foodland, he works in cooperation with the community care, and there are many families in the area that have daily deliveries, well, once a week to the families, for food that they put an order in for. Now, this food is paid for, it's not donated, but the volunteers go pick up the food, deliver it to the folks. So I can't tell you how many people there are in the area, but I think it's probably in the vicinity of about 50 families that receive those packages. So I know one of the ladies that we delivered to this morning, without this, there's no way that she could stay in her home. So it's a very, very worthwhile service, and a lot of people put a lot of time and effort into it. Now, at this time, we're going to do a disclosure of pecuniary interest, and I'm going to remind council members of their obligation to declare a pecuniary interest that they have at this time or at any time that occurs to them throughout the meeting. If I have a motion to approve the agenda, please. Councillor Franzen and Councillor Armstrong, all in favor? Motion is carried. Adoption of the minutes for the regular council meeting of December the 21st. Motion to adopt all the minutes. Councillor Lambshead and Councillor Franzen as the seconder. All in favor? Motion has carried. Minutes and reports from committees and boards, liaison reports and county boards. I'm going to ask council if there are any liaison reports from Economic Development, PRCAC, PSB, or Library Board. Anybody want to comment? Councillor Armstrong?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Clarkson. Just in case everybody is not aware, the library, both branches have moved to curbside pickup only in light of the most recent restrictions that have been put out because of Omicron. But they are still operating and they're still available to lend books and other materials.
Okay. Thank you. Any other reports? Okay, now we've got a statutory public meeting pursuing to the Planning Act, but we don't have one. Business arising from that meeting, we don't have one. Presentations, we don't have any. Delegations. We will now have a delegation from Karen Adams regarding Oak Orchard. Please unmute all your audio and or share your camera and make your presentation. You will have 10 minutes. I will ask council that all questions are saved until the end of the presentation.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor and councillors. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this afternoon. I want to start by saying that we appreciate all the hard work Barbara Waldron has put into getting these bylaws in place for Oak Orchard. Having said that, we are still in a situation where there is uncertainty about being able to build in 2022. Timelines are of the utmost importance, and it appears that we do not have a clear set of next steps. It takes great planning, lining up of tradespeople and materials, and without a clear path to the end of this becomes nearly impossible. So as not to repeat what Tiffany Green says, I would like it noted that I agree with her email of December 29th to you, December 29th, 2021, and believe that the dates she has set out are not unreasonable and should be adhered to if there is any hope of building this year. I would like to point out that there are many lot owners who proactively obtain stage 1 and stage 2 archaeological studies, and that our lots have been cleared for some time now by the Ministry of Heritage, Sport, Tourism and Culture, as well as Curve Lake. We received our letter from the ministry in July 2021, which we sent to the building department immediately. These are lots that were previously cleared by stage 1 and stage 2 archaeological assessments in the Advanced Archaeology CIF number 2000-018-017, performed in 2000, 2001, and 2002 archaeological studies. So I hope you can appreciate our frustration when we are sitting on lots that have been cleared to build on, yet we are still being held up. Perhaps these lots should never have been included in the blanket interim control bylaw that was placed on all of Oak Orchard. Many times when speaking to the town, I was told that they wanted to look at each lot on an individual basis. What has happened to that? Here we are with complete uncertainty as to when we will be able to build. I implore council to act as quickly as possible given the continued financial and emotional implications. These are properties that were not purchased as investment properties, but as the future site of our homes. There is no reason why special council meeting or meetings can't be called to expedite the passing of these bylaws instead of just waiting for the next month's meeting. I cannot stress enough that time is of the essence, and I hope that all parties involved understand that. Thank you.
Okay, I think due to the sensitivity of this item, we may want to receive these two delegations. Do we have anyone who would make that motion, or would they like to comment? Councillor Lambshead?
I'd like to make a motion to receive and thank Karen for her thoughts. And we do understand that this is very stressful for everyone.
Okay, and do we have a seconder to that? Okay, and that is seconded by Councillor Franson, and all in favor? Motion is carried. Now we will have our second delegation from Tiffany Green, Andrew Watson, and Dorothy McDonald. Welcome, folks, and again, we're very pleased to hear your delegation, and you will have 10 minutes.
Can I be heard?
Yes?
I'm Andrew Watson, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. As the 2022 building season approaches, we are reaching out to you, Mayor Clarkson, to direct staff to provide clarity and transparency on the proposed site-specific bylaws as they pertain to Oak Orchard, specifically the details of the proposed bylaw amendment, as well as to clearly define timeframe as to when the bylaw shall be completed. Due to the fact the direction chosen is to create a site-specific, seemingly complicated bylaw for Oak Orchard, instead of following the Planning Act and Ministry of Heritage, Sport, Tourism, and Culture Industry existing guidelines, we ask that this information be shared in an effort to understand the actual circumstances that my family and all others impacted, affected, and with vested interests in this parcel are facing. The delays to date have had a grievous impact on many stakeholders. As the 2022 building season approaches, the opportunity to secure funding, material, trades, and labor is upon us. On June 1st, the interim control bylaw was placed on our lot. At that time, our excavator was on site, preparing the site to dig the foundation. Our trusses were in queue. The floors have already been produced. The balance of the building material was on a truck. The stop placed on our lot has resulted in real material costs. Further, my 2021 project was effectively canceled, which left me scrambling to find gainful employment for the purpose of providing not only for my family, but also interest on a halted job site. Following up with staff, we were told numerous occasions that the intention was to quickly work through the bylaw amendment process and that we should be able to start building in the summer. Upon receipt of a letter from the Ministry of Heritage, Sport, Tourism, and Culture Industry, we immediately hired an archaeologist referred by Saint to conduct a study of our lot for development purposes. At the August 10th council meeting, with clearance in hand, registered by the aforementioned ministry, which states, the proponent may proceed with grading and construction excavation when accompanied by a licensed archaeologist conducting the construction monitoring strategy in partnership with a Curve Lake First Nations field liaison. These recommendations are supported by Curve Lake First Nation. The failure to proceed following August 10th meeting meant further financial and material burdens, as well as a certain embarrassment with professional counterparts and vendors in my field of construction. Mayor Clarkson, if it is truly staff's wishes to proceed with a unique Oak Orchard specific bylaw, I humbly ask that you direct staff to schedule a meeting or meetings with the residents of Oak Orchard and the liaisons of Curve Lake to review and comment on the proposed bylaw. Our meetings to approve the final bylaw version occur prior to February council meeting. We ask that the agreed bylaw be presented in February and expedited. Madam Mayor, we ask that vacant lots of no archaeological significance, previously cleared by the ministry, working under the supervision of archaeologists and Curve Lake First Nation, be allowed to commence with project. The integrity of the Oak Orchard parcel is not threatened by the creation of a single-family dwelling. It is enhanced. Kind regards, Andrew and Tiffany. On a personal note, I would also like to state the company I work for is asking me if I'm available beyond April, and I do not know what to tell them.
Okay, thank you. Andrew, are either Tiffany or Dorothy there that want to add anything to this presentation? You're both listed here. Okay. Again, do we have a motion from council? Councillor Franzen?
Motion to receive.
Okay, and a seconder? Councillor Lambshead, all in favor? That motion is carried. I think I will speak for council for just a moment and just assure everybody that every possible step that could be taken has and is being taken, and that Anne is more than willing to speak to this on an individual basis. So thank you for your delegations. You will now be removed from the meeting, and you can log back in if you wish to listen to the remainder of the meeting. We now have a delegation from Rick Turner regarding shoreline road allowance fees. Turner, item 10.7.3. Please unmute your audio and or share your camera and make your presentation. You will have 10 minutes, and I'll ask council that all questions are saved until the end of this presentation. And we're going to welcome Deputy Mayor Windover back. So he's now in attendance. Mr. Turner, are you there?
Okay, you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay, that's great. Let me start my little timer here. All right, so what I would like to do, I've been in the process of trying to obtain a building permit since April of this year. And I've done absolutely everything possible to try and make this go as quickly and as efficiently as possible. I spent thousands of dollars to provide a professional package that I've submitted to the town. So let's give you a bit of a history of where we are today. So the history is, if you look at the miniature surveys that I've sent you, lots 43 and 44 were actually one lot at one time. The line that divides the lot was legally severed by my parents in the 60s. The traditional 66 road allowance exists if you look at the lot as a total whole. It's 66 feet all around, as it is on every other lot on this lake. The current property lot intersects the property in a way that is certainly not traditional. So what I'm going to ask you to do, I'm going to follow your report to council. So I want you to go to the last page. And on the last page, your staff has basically identified that we actually surveyed, confirmed with the survey and verified by Jesse Clark, there is 189.67 linear feet of shoreline on my property. This is divided up in two spots, traditionally along the front, which gives you the traditional 66-foot back, and nobody has argued that point. There's 18 feet along the side lot, and I guess the municipality is arguing that I'm getting more from my money, so therefore I have to pay more. Okay, so if you look at your website and the information contained in, the price was $40 a linear foot. That is what I bought into with people in April. I made a commitment to the variance committee that I would purchase the land at that $40 thing back on September the 7th, I believe. And that total number would come to, with administration fee, $9,073. That's what it says online, and that's basically what you're committed to. So now what I would like you to do is look at maps A and B. Map A shows the traditional frontage of 170.93 feet with a traditional 66-foot road allowance. No dispute there. Line B identifies the 18 feet of shoreline that is on the side lot. And if you extrapolate it out the 66 feet using a template, you can roughly see how that 18 feet goes over the property that I already own. So to say that it's not enough, yeah, you're right, but how much is not enough? What is that measurement? We have no official measurement. Okay, so that's B and C, A and B. So the other issue that's in your thing is that my application has been deemed incomplete. So basically, I've worked with your people, the 7-8 copies of drawings, they weren't available till beginning of December. Went there that day, filled out the application under the tutelage of 2 employees. So if there's a signature missing, then that was an oversight done at that time. It wasn't caused by me. The other issue would be that I left that day with the understanding that it was a complete application, and that if I put the money for the application, including the fees, into my tax account, then everything would be great. So I sent an email that day just confirming with your employee, and basically he said it was with the clerk. Now, when I left that day, I was given a quote of the approximate $8,000 by your people. So I've gotten a bill from your on the first page of $12,440, which is about 30 to 40% higher than currently what's online. Okay, so now let's go to map C. So map C basically has the traditional water frontage that nobody's in dispute of. And then what you've decided to do is you decided to break up my property line and consider it to be shoreline. So now you've identified, instead of 189 feet, I now have 311 feet of shoreline, which you wish to charge me for. So if you look on the map, you can see some shaded areas. And if you go from the one marked B and you go at 66 feet, you can clearly see not only does it go onto the property that I already own, but it goes onto the property that you're charging me for on the frontage. If you go to C, basically it shows the same thing. It covers that whole area that I already own. And for some reason or another in that calculation, you've decided to exclude the actual 18 feet of water frontage. Got it? So as another special note, because we don't have a lot of time here, we're halfway through. If you look at the orange line going around, that is the property that was invoiced and charged to my neighbor in 1986. So if you look at that, you've actually charged him for the whole perimeter going around, and yet he really hasn't had any opportunity to get the majority of the water frontage that was there. So in fact, you actually overcharged him in 1986, probably for the amount that you're charging me extra for now. Okay, so now let's go back to facts. I'm going to go to the second page of your report. And it says the intent of the new fee structure was not to increase the land fees. Well, I'm in. A review of 30 previous shoreline applications was conducted and fees were compared, which reflect the $40 per linear foot. Well, if you did that, then all 30 of these previous people had, in my guesstimation, 40 feet of water frontage instead of 66. They don't have 66. How you could pick 30 random people that kind of fit in that same frame as me. I've audited 5 people on my lake, and they've all had standard 66 feet granted to them and paid the appropriate money, $40 a square foot. So now, what is real? What do we really need to do here? We paid $4,000 for a survey, and we basically got your staff interpreting the survey to say that I now have, what, 100 and some odd extra feet of shoreline, which doesn't exist. So I'm going to direct you to the actual official survey. And on the top right-hand corner of the survey, it says schedule. And on that schedule, it basically identifies all the square footage per meter of the actual shoreline that hasn't been purchased yet at 606 square meters. So if you look down, where are we at? So if you look at just below the paragraph that I was just going through, it says cost of land, 606 meters squared. So the experts in your office have ascertained that is the real number and they're trying to use it. Awesome. So now they're charging me $7.50 a meter squared, based on the fact that the 30 people in front of me didn't have 66 feet of road allowance, which I have. So the actual cost at $40 a linear foot per square meter is $5.41, not $7.50. So it comes out to $8,688.46, not $12,045, for a difference of $3,356.94. Basically, if you go through the top paragraph again, your staff feels confident that 311 feet should be used to calculate the fee as it results to a similar price. So basically, you like the original price where I'm sure on item C that we can all admit is a little bit heavy-handed, and you're trying to emulate that price by raising the price per meter up to match it. So I don't know what to do here. Like, basically, I find this extremely stressful, and to be perfectly honest with you, this whole issue has delayed the build of my projects for 6 months. 6 months. So now I'm subject to material prices. I couldn't order specialized materials like beams. You can't organize any manpower. And I just honestly don't know what to do, because at the end of the day, there's not a lot of truth in some of these presentations. Whereas I think what we should do is go back to the actual $4,000 survey, use the 1,606 number, and decide what the real $40 a linear foot number should be that relates to that number, and I'll pay it to you in an instant. I've already put the $9,000 into my account to try and keep people at ease to slow the delay of the building down. And yeah, that's what I'm asking all 4 honorable members to treat this thing with common sense, because there's a lot of non-common sense in this, and an agenda to raise the price to $750. And I don't believe that I fall in that category. I think I should be paying the $40 a linear foot because I've been participating for 6 months. Any comments?
Okay, do we have any kind of a comment from council at all or staff? My suggestion would be that we refer this to staff to take a second look at it. Do we have anybody that has a different idea?
I'm not so sure that's a good idea.
Well, I think
Like,
you've
we've
had
already
your
gone
time.
past the staff point.
No, excuse me, you've had your time now. This is ours.
All right.
Does anybody else agree with that or have a different idea?
So through you,
Carol?
Mayor Clarkson, it's Donna here.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, there is a future staff report on this property if council wishes to defer a decision to that. Just
Okay.
to let you know.
All right. Is everybody agreeable to that?
Yep.
Can we have a motion to that effect, please? Councillor Franzen?
I'll make that motion to defer it to when we deal with the staff report.
Thank you. Councillor Deputy Mayor Windover seconded it. All in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, staff reports and Public Works. Chelsea Carpenter for Waste.
Thank you, Mayor Clarkson, and through you. So this report is just in regards to a waste disposal fee review, as well as the structure of our current waste disposal fees. So you may recall that on October 6, 2020, Council did receive a report from the temporary waste coordinator regarding an increase in the tipping fee schedule, and this was over a 2-year period. So it was supposed to take effect in March of 2020. However, it was delayed to become in effect January 1st, 2021, and then a second increase January 1st, 2022. Those increases relate to construction demolition material, shingles and drywall, as well as our small bulky furniture and large bulky furniture. So those fee increases have already been implemented. The fees outlined in this report are just itemizing a couple of items that we've noticed have come in to the sites over the years that we thought it would help processes and determining disposal fees for certain items. So they've been added into the fees and charges bylaw as well as the waste bylaw. And the only thing that we have increased is the unsorted mixed load and the sorted mixed load for consideration of council. And again, this is just to keep in line with the increase in construction demolition material and the shingles and drywall. So if there's any other questions, I would be happy to answer them.
Questions from council? Chelsea, I have a question on the $3 per bag for people coming in who don't have they're, say, renters or whatever they are. And I would certainly like to see that $3 revisited. I don't think it covers the amount of garbage that's produced. I think it gives us an artificially high number when we go to the county with our requests for maybe unfair pricing. So I don't know what everybody else feels about it, but I would like to have your comment. And the second comment I have is you have some new faces at Buckhorn, and I can't speak highly enough of them. We've always had good people down there, and these are every bit as good.
Thank you, Mayor Clarkson, for those comments, and we will be sure to pass them along to our staff. I think what you're referring to is the cottage kits that we sell for $3.
Yes.
And these are typically purchased by homeowners, so they can only be purchased by the registered property owner, and they're purchased for properties where they rent out their properties in order to provide easy access for waste disposal to their tenants. So we do currently sell them for $3 each, and they're sold here at the office and the transfer stations. This isn't generally in line with other areas who also sell cottage kits. However, if council wishes to direct staff to look into increasing that, we can certainly do so.
What's the feeling of council? Anybody with a comment there at all? Councillor Franzen.
I agree with the $3. I believe if you go too high, we're going to be finding garbage on the side of our roads or left out these residences, and that would be a health hazard.
Anybody else? Councillor Armstrong.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Clarkson. I would agree with Peter Franson for the meantime to leave it at 3. This is actually one of the things that's under the auspices of what the short-term rental working group is looking at, because the cottage kits are primarily intended for and used by short-term rental properties. So I think there will be an opportunity to take another look at that through the working group.
Okay, so it's not dead in the water, it's just on hold at the present time.
Yep.
Okay, everybody okay then with this report? Can we get a motion to receive and support? Deputy Mayor Windover, Councillor Armstrong, all in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Chelsea. There was a lot of work in that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Recreational facilities, none. Fire and emergency, none. Building and planning, none. Finance, Donna, you've got a lot of work in this one as well.
So thank you, and through you. This is the accounts payable for December 2021. Just to let you know, there will be some additional invoices paid for December. We're still in the process of doing that, but as of the date of printing this report, that is the amounts paid. So just for your information.
Okay, and a motion to receive that report. Deputy Mayor Windover, Councillor Franzen, all in favor? Motion is carried.
But comment?
Yes, I'm
Mayor Clarkson?
Yes.
Oh, no, that's okay. I just had right. I know
Go
it's
ahead.
difficult facilitating online. Donna and I have already talked about this, but I thought it was worth raising. In the list of accounts payable line items, there are a number related to municipal planning services, as well as our legal firm, that are crossed out or redacted, I guess, in the government terminology. And I just thought it would be helpful for Donna, our CAO, to explain why that is.
So thank you, and through you, Mayor Clarkson. That is done when there is an identifiable individual. I do acknowledge that that stands out a bit more than usual. Sometimes it has been in the format, it's whited out actually, but now it's black. So it does stand out, but it is because it's an individual that is identified, so it's for privacy.
Okay.
So if I may just summarize or test my understanding through you, Madam Mayor. So there's no change in the way that we report that. It's just that we've changed from whiting out to blacking out is what I understand. Is that correct?
So through you, Mayor Clarkson, that is correct. It's a different staff member that prepared this report, and actually in discussions with our clerk, it's probably a better way to do it, to black it out. It just makes it more obvious that it is being redacted for the public, but it isn't new that we're doing this.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, now we're moving on to 10.7, 10.71. And Ruth, Deputy Clerk, please. Council expenses.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. This report brings forward council expenses for December 2021 and the remainder of October and November 2021 for council's consideration and approval. Thank you.
Okay, can we have a motion to receive that report? Councillor Lambshead?
Motion to approve, yes.
And support. Okay, Deputy Mayor Windover, seconder. All in favor? Motion is carried. Jesse Clark, Director of Corporate Services, Shoreline Road Allowance for Turner. Jesse, would you like to speak to this?
Yes, thank you. Sorry, first I'll be doing the unopened road allowance purchase for Casey.
Okay,
So Patrick Casey has submitted a request to purchase an unopened road allowance adjacent to his property at 42 Fire Route 328A. And this is in order to provide more room for a septic upgrade and expansion and to allow for better access and parking. I just wanted to note that it wasn't included in my report, but the property on the other side of the unopened road allowance is owned by the ministry. It is Crown land. So while this unopened road allowance does lead to water, it is not currently used as an existing public access to Fortescue Lake and is not feasible due to the terrain of the property. And there is a boat launch that is accessible to the public off of White Lake Road / Fortescue Lake Road at the north end of the lake, which lies in the municipality of Highlands East. And this unopened road allowance is not used to access any other property. So if council is in support of the recommendation, staff will follow the procedure outlined in the disposal of real property policy and sell the unopened road allowance to Mr. Casey.
okay, council, do we have a comment? And if not, can we have a motion, please? Okay, Councillor Lambshead.
Yes, motion to receive the report and that council direct staff to proceed with the application process and advise the applicant that they will be responsible for all costs.
Okay, and do we have a seconder? Councillor Armstrong, all in favor?
With the
Motion is
comment,
carried.
with the
comment?
comment, if I may?
Yep.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I questioned this one because it is our practice not to sell off unopened road allowances that lead to water. So I think our clerk spoke to it. If Barb Waldron is on the line, I'd also like her to speak to it because she has been dealing with this through the license of occupation policy, et cetera, just so we understand why this is being made an exception. Or if not, perhaps our clerk could just reiterate that.
I
Somebody-
am here. I just can't get to my buttons fast enough. Sorry about that. So yes, Councillor Armstrong reached out to me yesterday just to ask my opinion on this matter. So I was working from home yesterday, so I did review the report. I did go onto the GIS to get a visual, turned on the mapping layer so I could see the actual photograph area. It's definitely the terrain. I turned on the layer that tells me the elevations of the lands there. It's definitely terrain that we would never consider using, and it's terrain that somebody would have difficulties getting down. My only comment was that access to properties 122 and 116 appear to be through a fire access route 328, which crosses the Crown land. So I just made a comment that, just to be sure that that would never be taken away from those two properties where they might ask us to find another route. I doubt they would give us that answer, but using this portion of the road allowance really isn't feasible for that purpose either.
Okay, is that
Thank
okay,
you.
Carol? Are you okay with that?
Yep, I appreciate that. And thank you for bringing that.
Okay, so all in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, sorry. Now we're looking at the Turner, please.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Clarkson. This report outlines a shoreline road allowance fee for Turner, and we heard from Mr. Turner earlier in the meeting. So on December 3rd, staff received an incomplete application to purchase the shoreline road allowance from the Turners. As stated before, it was missing the required signature pages, missing the legal fee, and the fees owed to the municipality were being confirmed. Staff used the fee calculation for shoreline road allowances of $40 per linear foot, using the red underlined numbers outlined in the report to get a fee of $14,557.20. The price per linear foot is to try and capture the entire distance that an applicant is purchasing of the shoreline road allowance. And in some instances, particularly this one, not all of that land fronts on the water and is considered shoreline frontage. At the time of the application, municipal staff were aware that a proposed change in the fee structure was going to council for approval and calculated the cost under the new fee structure to be $14,110.85, using an area calculation rather than a linear one. Recognizing that the new fee structure would result in less monies being owed, staff proposed the Turners could pay the lesser fee. Mr. Turner has presented his proposal earlier for his calculation of the shoreline road allowance, and it's staff recommendation that council direct staff to inform the applicants that the cost for the shoreline road allowance closure application is $14,110.85, which includes the cost of land, HST, and the administrative fee, but does not include the legal fee. And were Mr. Turner to apply for his shoreline road allowance today, that would be the fee that would be charged.
Okay, thank you. Do we have comments from staff? And that is staff. Sorry, that's the staff comment. Comments from council, please. Is anybody? Yes, Councillor Lampson.
Just a question to clarify that Mr. Turner spoke to the fact that we're kind of selling him the same piece of property more than one time, like there seems to be an overlap of the road allowance. But I think he's only paying for the 170 feet directly in front of the property on Bass Lake. Like, sorry, go ahead.
No, through you, Mayor Clarkson, to Councillor Lambshead, the fee that I have calculated uses this red fee here to do the frontage actually along Bass Lake. And this whole portion, I don't know if you can see with my mouse that I'm indicating, this is all shoreline road allowance, even though, as you can see, the southern portion here, not very much of it fronts on the water, only this tiny little portion here. So the fee was used, this frontage along Bass Lake, as well as these two on the side. I recognize that this does not factor in this little bit, but I can include that in the fee if that is considered necessary.
No.
Well, you deal with this all the time. Terry, are you familiar with this piece?
A little bit with this property, yeah. It just does seem like we're selling him two pieces of road allowance. I know it is two pieces of road allowance, but my general idea is that the main road allowance is in front of your lot, not on the side. This is a very unusual situation that we wouldn't run into often.
Mayor Clarkson, may I add a comment?
Sure.
So I was kind of the instigator of possibly this because as indicated by Mr. Turner, he has made application for a garage, and the garage, corner of the garage is actually sitting on this road allowance. So I wanted to make sure that I was issuing a permit on lands owned by the owner. So that's kind of where this started. That was my question that went out to staff, and I guess this is where it's gravitated to.
So Barb, in your view, is the recommendation that's in front of us, is that the best that you see with this? Is this justified?
I don't know the policy well enough to make comment on that. I'm just looking for this portion of the road allowance to be in Mr. Turner's name. That's what I need done.
Okay. All right, well, we have to make a decision, so Councillor Armstrong.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Clarkson. I was just going to say, I'm not in a position to make a decision on this. When I read the agenda, I was quite comfortable with the recommendation. Having heard Mr. Turner, I'm a little confused about whether or not that we're proceeding with the right property and fee. So I am of the personal opinion that this needs more work. I don't want to delay it further, but I think we need to have a meeting of the minds and just make sure that we're doing the appropriate thing here. So if we were to go ahead, I would have to simply abstain, or I would suggest that there be a further meeting on this. And I don't know if the Committee of Adjustment would entertain taking a look at this, or whether we refer it back to staff to meet with Mr. Turner.
Okay, any other comment? Councillor Limestead.
I know this is getting outside of what we're talking about here, but the application to build a garage, is that on part one? That is the very front of part one, or is that the side of part?
Most of the garage, and you can't see my mouse. Part.
Is it over where you say, where it says allowance, Barb?
Yeah, the corner of the garage is sticking into where it says allowance. The rest of it is in that little peninsula. I would say about less than a quarter of it is onto that road allowance portion.
Okay. Okay, Councillor Franson.
I'd like to make a motion to defer, that more investigation can be done on this application.
Okay,
Just for 1 month.
have we got a seconder? Deputy Mayor Windover? Now, do we want to put a timeline so that this man is not held up forever? Do we want to say come back within?
Through you, Mayor Clarkson, if I may, it's Jessie.
Yeah.
This is being brought before council because staff and Mr. Turner could not come to an agreement. So it is council's shoreline road allowance, and there are provisions in the Municipal Act that you may sell these and determine the fee for them. There's obviously a discrepancy in what should be charged. And I feel like you've been presented both cases. I just don't know if this gets deferred, what more information you would like provided to you.
Councillor Franson.
I'll withdraw my motion.
I'm going to put a motion forward that we
Through you, you'll need to remove yourself from the chair, and Deputy Mayor Windover will have to assume.
Okay. I'm removed. I'm going to motion that we follow the recommendation that's in our package at this time. Councillor Franson?
I'll second that motion.
Ron, do you want to call for the vote?
Can we have a vote, please?
All in favor? Motion is carried.
I don't know. Can anyone hear me? I don't know.
Yep.
Okay.
You did it.
We just can't see you.
No.
We don't know where you went.
I don't either. Jeez.
Okay, correspondence for information only. Can we have a motion to receive the correspondence, or does anybody want to pull anything out? Councillor Franson?
A motion to receive the information.
Okay, a seconder? Councillor Lamshead, all in favor? Motion is carried. Carol, I'm not seeing your hand. You're kind of lost there. Correspondence for action from the city of Sarnia, catch and release. This has to do with rotating jails. Councillor Armstrong?
Motion to receive.
Now, are you receiving and supporting, or just receive? Just receive?
Just receive.
Okay. Got a seconder? Councillor Franzen. All in favor? Councillor Lambshead?
No, I am not in favor, but do you have enough voting members?
Okay, thank you. Town of Bradford West Gwillimbury, motion against Quebec Bill 21.
Could you possibly just announce the result of that vote, please?
I'm sorry, that carried. Bill 21, motion please. Councillor Franzen, are you in support
Motion.
or?
Motion to receive with a comment.
Okay,
I find it abhorrent that policy in Quebec, but that is in Quebec, and it's a legal jurisdiction in Canada, and I don't think we should comment on it.
Second that.
do we have a seconder? Councillor Armstrong, Councillor Lambshead, all in favor. Did you have a comment also, Carol?
No.
Did you? No, okay. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, bylaws on the agenda. Jesse?
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mayor Clarkson. There were several bylaws on today's agenda that did not have their own report to council or were part of a public meeting. B 2022-001 is the interim tax levy bylaw passed annually by council setting the interim tax billing dates. B 2022-002 is the annually passed borrowing bylaw. B 2022-003 is to repeal and replace the fees and charges bylaw. We heard from the public waste coordinator, public works and waste coordinator about her changes for the waste, but there was also some incorrectly increased fees for the 911 signs and blades that is also being corrected through this bylaw. And B 2022-005 is a zoning bylaw amendment for file 2030 for pond. Public meeting was held on August 10th. Application was deferred pending input from a number of sources, and a report was received on December 21st with an update and directing staff to prepare the requisite zoning bylaw.
Okay, so we can have one motion for all of these?
Nope.
Correct, Jesse?
Yes, you can do them all through one motion if council is going to pass all these bylaws.
Okay, does anybody in council want to pull any of these out, or do we want to have a motion to accept them all? Councillor Lambshead.
I will make a motion to accept them all if that's something council is in.
Deputy Mayor Windover, you're going to second that motion? All in favor? Motion is carried. Notices of motion, not this week. Information items, liaison reports for external boards and committees. Anybody there? I think, Carol, you spoke to the library board. Anybody else got anything to add? Hearing none.
We have some upcoming meetings, so we'll have more for next time.
Yes, just getting started again.
Yeah.
Okay, we're now going into a closed meeting to discuss advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. Anyone that is listening or viewing the electronic meeting may remain on the line for when council rises from closed session. We need a motion to go into closed. Carol, Councillor Armstrong, Councillor Lambshead, all in favor. Motion has carried. I've gone home. Can everyone hear me?
Mhm.
Okay, I can only see two of you. So can I have a motion to rise from closed? And I can see you, Peter, and I can see you, Terry. All in favor? Motion has carried. We need to adopt our business arise from closed meeting and adoption of minutes. Regular closed meeting for the 21st of December. Deputy Mayor Windover, Councillor Armstrong, all in favor? Motion has carried. I need a motion to approve the confirming bylaw. Deputy Mayor Windover, Councillor Franzen, all in favor? Motion has carried. Motion to adjourn. Well done, folks. Deputy Mayor Windover, Councillor Armstrong, Councillor Franzen, Councillor Lambshead, and myself. See you next time.
Through you, Mayor Clarkson,
Yes,
if you could just call for the vote, please, on the motion.
yes, may we have a vote? All in favor? That motion is carried. Thank you, everyone. Safe drive home from
Bye.
wherever you are.
So what's this noise of motion?